Captain Elena Vasquez stared at the tactical display, her dark eyes reflecting the amber glow of distant nebulae. The cramped quarters of the exploration vessel Phoenix felt suffocating with him in it. 47 days. 47 days of his. Bronze skin catching the edge of her peripheral vision, his midnight hair shifting like liquid shadow when he moved. 47 days of pretending he didn't exist. You realize, for someone who pilots an entire starship, you're remarkably poor. At basic communication, Zephyr said from his position near the viewport. His name was Zephyr Solaris, though she'd never used it. Detainee, specimen, subject. Those were the terms in her mission logs. Elena's jaw clenched. We're not here for small talk. Then what exactly are we here for, Captain? Zephyr stretched, the silver fabric of his environmental suit highlighting his lean frame. Because from my perspective, we're simply two beings in confined quarters, deliberately avoiding each other. She kept her focus on the navigation array. The assignment had been straightforward. Retrieve the alien male from his homeworld of Ethros. Intelligence indicated he possessed vital knowledge about Ethros' energy shield technology. Information the Earth Coalition desperately required. What intelligence hadn't warned her about was that he'd surrender voluntarily, or that he'd be so impossibly distracting. You're a prisoner of war, she stated coldly. Zephyr's laughter was like crystal. Bells in the sterile cabin? Is that what they briefed you? That there's a war? Elena's fingers hesitated over the controls. There wasn't officially, not yet, but tensions between Earth and Ethros had been mounting for years. Her commanders had been explicit. Obtain the intelligence through any means necessary. You're a strategic asset, she corrected herself, and you're evading me. He slid from his seat and approached, his bare feet silent on the polymer floor. Ever since Rodriguez died, Elena winced at the memory. Sergeant Rodriguez had been dependable, loyal. The ambush that claimed him had come without warning. A standard reconnaissance turned massacre. Elena had retrieved his remains personally. Rodriguez has nothing to do with this situation, she said through gritted teeth. Doesn't he? He was behind her now, close enough that she could sense the warmth emanating from his body. You blame yourself, and now you're denying yourself any form of connection. Elena spun her chair to face him directly. You don't understand anything. His eyes, violet with horizontal pupils like a predator's, studied her with something between curiosity and compassion. I understand more than you realize, Captain. I know why your government truly dispatched you to capture me. I know about the device they believe my people are constructing. He leaned closer. And I know that you haven't rested properly in weeks. She stood abruptly, forcing him to retreat. I need to check the perimeter scanners again. Fourth time today, he followed her toward the cabin exit. You know, on my world we have a saying, a warrior who denies their heart denies their power. Elena entered the door code with unnecessary force. Well, on my world, we say duty comes first. And is it your duty to completely disregard me? To act as if I don't exist? His voice had lost its playful tone. I came with you willingly, Elena. I'm not your enemy. The use of her first name made her freeze. She turned to really observe him. For the first time in days, the cabin's soft lighting revealed the intricate markings on his skin spirals that seemed to pulse with their own internal luminescence. Then what are you? She asked quietly. Zephyr moved closer, close enough that she could see the silver flecks in his violet eyes. I'm someone who's weary of being treated like I'm invisible. His fingers moved to the collar of his suit. I'm someone who's been watching you torment yourself for weeks. The fabric began to part at his throat. I'm someone who's decided that if you won't acknowledge me, I'll make it impossible for you to ignore me. Elena's mouth went dry as he continued to unfasten his suit, his movements deliberate and unhurried. Human female, he said, his voice steady despite the boldness of his actions. "It's been over a month, and you haven't claimed me." The top of his suit slipped lower. "I'm beginning to take it personally." Elena's hand shot out, grasping his wrist before he could reveal more. "Stop." "Why?" His challenge hung between them. "Give me one honest reason." The ship's alert system chose that moment to activate, flooding the cabin in pulsing red light. Elena released him immediately, military training taking precedence. "Proximity alert," she announced, already moving toward the console. "Something's approaching." Zephyr pulled his suit back into place. All business now. Raiders. Elena scanned the readings, her brow furrowing. "No, it's..." She looked up, meeting his eyes. "It's an Ethrosian vessel. They've located us." The Ethrosian ship's opening salvo struck with surgical precision. The cabin shook violently, throwing both Elena and Zephyr against the bulkhead. "They're targeting our propulsion," Elena shouted, diving for the control panel. Her fingers flew across the interface, activating defensive systems. "We need to." The second impact hit harder. A section of the ceiling buckled, sending a shower of sparks and metal fragments across the cramped space. Elena reacted instinctively, throwing herself over Zephyr as debris sliced through the air. Searing pain tore through her back and shoulder. She gasped, feeling warm blood soaking through her uniform. "Elena." Zephyr's voice seemed distant through the ringing in her ears. His cool hands were on her face, turning her over. "You're injured." "I'm fine," she growled, trying to push herself up. The movement sent fresh agony through her shoulder, and she couldn't suppress a hiss of pain. "You're not fine, you stubborn human." Zephyr helped her to the bunk, his strength surprising her. "You have metal embedded in your back." The ship shuddered again, but the impact was less severe. The automated defense systems were finally responding. "We need to return fire," Elena said through clenched teeth. "What we need is to prevent you from bleeding out." Zephyr tore open a medical kit from beneath the bunk. "Hold still." Elena tried to object, but the room was starting to spin. She felt his agile fingers cutting away her uniform, felt the cool air on her exposed skin. "This will sting," he warned. Then she felt a sharp pain as he extracted the first piece of shrapnel. Elena bit her lip, refusing to cry out. "The ship's on automatic defense. You programmed it yourself, remember?" His voice was steady, professional. "Now be quiet and let me work." She fell silent, watching him through pain-clouded eyes. His face was a mask of concentration, his movements precise as he removed metal fragments and applied antiseptic to the wounds. "Why?" she asked finally. "Why what?" He didn't look up from his work. "Why are you helping me?" "I've been," she trailed off, unsure how to describe her behavior. "A complete ass." He supplied, the corner of his mouth corking up. "Yes, you have. But you just took shrapnel for me, so I suppose we're even." The ship rocked again, but the motion was different. They were moving, accelerating away from their attacker. The autopilot's engaging evasive maneuvers, Elena said, relief washing through her. "We might survive this after all." "Of course we will." Zephyr applied a regenerative patch to her largest wound. "I didn't come all this way to die in a tiny cabin with a human who won't even look at me." Despite everything, Elena laughed up. Short, pained sound, but genuine. "Is that really what's bothering you? That I won't look at you?" His violet eyes met hers. "No. What bothers me is that you won't see me." "There's a difference." The ship lurched suddenly, throwing Zephyr forward. Elena caught him with her good arm, and suddenly he was pressed against her bare chest, his face inches from hers. "I see you now," she said softly. For a moment, they remained frozen. The only sound there mingled breathing and the distant hum of the engines pushing them to safety. Then Zephyr's hand came up to touch her face, his fingers tracing the line of her jaw. "Do you know why I really came with you, Alina Vasquez?" She shook her head slightly, not trusting her voice. "Because on my world, there's an ancient text about a void walker with eyes like storm clouds who would change everything." His thumb brushed her lower lip. "When I saw you, I knew." Knew what? Her voice was barely a whisper. "That you were worth." Risking everything for the ship's warning system fell silent, indicating they'd successfully escaped their pursuer. In the sudden quiet, Alina could hear her own heartbeat, rapid and strong. "You don't even know me," she said. "I've been observing you for a month." His fingers traced down to her collarbone, careful to avoid her injuries. "I know you better than you think." Elena's good hand moved of its own accord, sliding into his midnight hair. It felt like silk between her fingers. "And what do you think you know? I know you're brave, loyal, stubborn to the point of foolishness." His lips curved in a smile. "And I know you want me as much as I want you." The truth of his words hit her like another blast from the Ethrosian ship. She had wanted him from the first moment he'd stepped onto her vessel. She'd buried that desire beneath layers of duty and grief, but it had never disappeared. "Rodriguez," she began, "would want you to live," he finished for her. "Not just survive, live." Alina pulled him closer, her injuries forgotten in the heat of the moment. "I don't even know if we're compatible." Zephyr laughed, the sound sending shivers down her spine. "There's only one way to find out, Captain." As their lips met, Alina felt something inside her break free a dam, holding back emotions she'd suppressed for too long. His mouth was cool against hers, alien yet perfect. Her hand tightened in his hair as the kiss deepened, becoming something hungry and primal. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, the cabin seemed to pulse with new energy. "That answers one question about compatibility." Zephyr whispered against her lips. Alina smiled, her first real smile in weeks. "I think we need more data before drawing conclusions." His answering laugh was cut short by another kiss. And for the first time since Rodriguez's death, Alina allowed herself to feel something beyond grief and duty. 6 months later, Captain Alina Vasquez stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned diplomatic vessel Harmony, watching as Earth grew larger in the viewscreen. Beside her, Zephyr adjusted the formal attire he wore as Ethros's first ambassador to the Earth's coalition. "Nervous?" she asked, slipping an arm around his waist. "About meeting your people?" "No," he leaned into her embrace. "About explaining to your father why we bonded on Ethros without his blessing?" "Absolutely." Alina laughed, the sound echoing in the quiet deck. "He'll forgive us once he hears the whole story." "Which part do you think will convince him? The ancient prophecy, the energy weapon, or the part where I had to practically strip before you'd notice me?" "Definitely not that last one," she groaned. "Let's omit that detail." Zephyr turned in her arms, his luminescent markings glowing softly in the dim light, a sign of contentment she'd come to recognize and treasure. "I still can't believe how everything resolved. The prophecy fulfilled, peace between our worlds. And you." His fingers traced the line of her jaw. "You never had to sacrifice anything." "I wouldn't say that," Alina replied, her dark eyes serious. "I sacrificed my isolation, my emotional barriers, my determination to punish myself for Rodriguez's death." She pressed her forehead to his. "And I gained everything that matters." "Humans," he sighed with mock exasperation. "Always so emotional." "You love it?" she countered. "I love you," he corrected, rising on his toes to kiss her as Earth filled, the viewscreen heralding the beginning of their new life together. Alina reflected on the strange journey that had brought them here. From a cramped cabin where she tried desperately to ignore the most captivating being she'd ever met, to becoming the living embodiment of peace between two civilizations. All because Zephyr had finally grown tired of waiting and decided to take matters into his own hands. Human, female, he whispered against her lips, echoing his words from that first night. Aren't you glad I didn't let you ignore me for another month? Elena's answer was lost in their kiss, but they both knew what it would have been. Some things, after all, were worth waiting for. But not too long.